This is a Hipsters of the Coast podcast. This Doomed Travelers podcast is brought to you by Hipsters of the Coast, your destination for magic news, strategy, and entertainment. And by Casthaven, where you can build your magic collection like a pro. Visit casthaven.com for more information.
You guys ready?
Yeah.
All right, welcome to another episode of Doomed Travelers, where we play Destiny and talk about Magic: The Gathering. This week,
Collectible card game of strategy and imagination.
yes, that's the one. Not to be confused with any other Magic: The Gathering, I suppose. This week, Matt Jones and I are going to be jamming some Prison of Elders. And we are going to be joined by Dave McCoy and Brendan McNamara to talk about Magic Origins. And a little bit of a new segment we have that's a new regular segment we have on the show, which I think you'll all be excited about later. But first, Magic Origins. A little bit of, not spoilers, but a few minor spoilers and some mostly story spoilers coming out over the past week or two. About the future of Magic storytelling and, the Magic origin stories in general, some focus on Chandra Nalar. And to get things started, we'll go around, and question this week is, what Lorwyn reprint would you most be excited for to show up in Magic Origin, since we know that Lorwyn will be a plane we're returning to? So BMAC, why don't you kick us off? If you don't know a card from Lorwyn, that's also an acceptable answer.
I know cards from Lorwyn. Does Shadowmoor count too, or is it just Lorwyn?
Yes, Shadowmoor counts as well. We're gonna say Shadowmoor counts as well, because why not? They're technically the same plane.
Well, like a number of the really sweet cards just got reprinted in Modern Masters 2015. So
yeah,
because I was gonna say like Witleaf Liege.
Right. So let's say anything that was M15, Modern Masters 15 reprint, we'll say is not going to be reprinted in Standard. So.
How about Doran?
Doran the Siege Tower.
I've been thinking about that because I like to play Affinity in Modern, and Doran is like the absolute worst card to see if you're playing with cranial plating. It's cranial plating into nothing, and like you can't kill it.
That is a great point. Oh man!
But nobody plays Doran anymore in Modern. I guess it's not good enough.
There was a little time when I did. It was really fun. You had some crazy turns, but it wasn't.
I think the odds of a legendary 3-color creature appearing in what's essentially still the core set are pretty slim.
Seems low. Okay, well, let's get Treefolk Harbinger.
There you go. So that you can tutor up some Treefolk, which I'm sure there will be tons of in Zendikar. Dave McCoy, you were not around for Lorwyn.
No, I had not been constructed yet.
Yeah, you weren't quote unquote born.
And you haven't been programmed to be backwards compatible either.
Right.
I'll tell you what they did program me to do though. They programmed me to go to TCG Player and sort the Lorwyn set by price.
Nice.
But I mean, there are a lot of confusing cards in Lorwyn. Like, what the hell is Rings of Bright Hearth?
Oh my God!
A $20 rare artifact. Thank you, Commander.
Yeah, exactly. Because rings can copy Planeswalker abilities.
Yes, apparently it can. But Gaddock Teague is probably by far the most bonesy card.
That would be
on this
Gaddock Teague
on this page.
What
Did
a
you just
card!
refer to yourself as Bonesy?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
wow.
I mean bonesy as in like bones-ish.
Gaddock Teague is a sweet card.
Could you imagine Gaddock Teague and Siege Rhino in the same Standard environment?
That's pretty sick. I'm not gonna
and Treefolk Harbinger is your 3-drop.
Yeah, you know what's great about Gaddock Teague though? You can't play rats. Because all the wraths are 5
No.
mana spells.
Yeah, no wrath.
I like it.
You could play.
and
You could play Deathbringer Regent.
Yeah, you can play Deathbringer Regent.
I was thinking about how they should like the decks that play what is it, Court of Calling should put that in.
Right. Oh yeah, no X spells either, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Not
Teague is such a griefer card too. Oh my
It
god.
makes me feel good on the inside.
Yeah,
Wow.
very Death and Taxes.
Matt, did you ever have a chance to play with Lorwyn when it was around, or Shadowmoor?
Back when I was an active alcoholic, I played a bunch of Lorwyn, but don't remember much of it due to aforementioned alcoholic.
Right.
But I do love this one card called Slippery Boggle. I don't know if you guys have heard of it.
Of course.
Sorry, I
would
only know it by
love-
its German name.
Oh yeah. What is that? Schlupfriger boots. I would love to see them butcher the artwork and make it look terrible and really dynamic and very extreme, like they tend to do with re-arts.
Can we give it a scarf?
Oh my
Yeah.
god! If only it had a scarf.
Oh my god. As exciting as Boggle would be, I have a feeling we're not going to get any hybrid mana costs in the core set, unfortunately, because Boggle would be a great reprint for sure. But yeah, I don't know. I think Lorwyn. I played regularly. Lorwyn might actually be the block where I was playing the most regularly, and I was a huge fan of Chameleon Colossus.
Oh yeah, that card's cool.
Changeling, unfortunately, is not a mechanic likely to return to the core set either, but I could also see it being like a one-of for a rare.
Well, they did reprint Mutavault last 2 years ago.
That's true. That is,
Which is not
great.
technically a changeling, I don't think. Even though
yeah,
it has all abilities.
I guess technically it's not a changeling, but it kind of is.
Yeah. Mutavault's a sweet card.
Yeah, I think Chameleon Colossus. Sorry, I'm trying to kill this Hallow Knight.
Maybe they'll reprint the Filter Land.
Oh my god, yeah, those are worth a fortune.
Yeah, those are those are the sort of things that you want one or two of in a lot of modern decks, and you'll say, "Oh, do I have all the cards for this deck?" And you'll go through and you'll say, "Oh, I have 59 of 60. I don't have a Twilight Mire. Oh, that costs $40." And you're just like, "What?"
That would actually, I can't see. Obviously, I can't see all 10 of them showing up, right? But maybe the allied colored filter lands. But then again, the filter lands were not Lorwyn, right? They were Shadowmoor and Eventide. But I mean, then again, for all we know, maybe there'll be Shadowmoor and Eventide cards. Maybe there won't be. So, anyways, yeah. Origins. They announced the 10 planes that will be featured in Origins. 2 for each planeswalker, where they were born, and the first world that they planeswalk to. And a lot of these are planes that we know of, and some of them are very exciting. I think the one that surprisingly to some people, not surprisingly to others, got the most fan response was that Liliana of the Veil fame was born on Dominaria. For those of you who were also constructed sometime around the same time as Dave, Dominaria is the world where the first 10 years of Magic game story took place. From the Brothers' War featuring Urza and Mishra, all the way through to the Apocalypse, which saw the death of Urza and the destruction of Yawgmoth, and then the Odyssey story and Onslaught, which is the story of Akroma and Ixodron and Jeska. All of those stories took place on Dominaria. It's a massive world. It served as like the Middle Earth of Magic until at some point they decided that it would be more productive to move to a model like Star Wars, where the worlds were smaller, the planes were smaller and more focused, and we would travel to a new one every world. And that started with Mirrodin, with the metal world, and it was followed up by Kamigawa and Ravnica. And after Ravnica, we traveled back to Dominaria for the Time Spiral, which was the retconning of Planeswalkers, when they fixed all the Planeswalker abilities and made them less.
What's retconning?
So they went back and they retroactively corrected what they wanted a Planeswalker to be.
Yes.
They didn't want them to be these crazy immortal creatures anymore. They wanted them to be relatable because, you and I as players, we are Planeswalkers, but we're not these crazy immortal gods. So that was, and they introduced the new style of Planeswalkers with Venser. Venser was the one, and that story gave us a lot of deaths. Freyalise died, Lord Windgrace died, Tevesh Svat died. These are all characters from the old Dominaria story, and after the Time Spiral, everything was better. We had new Planeswalkers. All of the old Planeswalkers were changed. And since then, and that was 2008, and we have not returned to Dominaria since. So this isn't technically a full return to Dominaria. There'll be a slight focus on it. And yeah, that's exciting. I guess that's exciting for me because the bulk of Magic I played, and I think, Matt, you also played a lot when you were younger, your first time around. So you probably remember plenty of that from Dominaria, yeah?
Well, we lost Matt.
No, we lost
his computer. His computer died. He said he'll be back in a sec.
All right, so
but
he was so verklempt by going back to Dominaria getting disconnected.
Yeah, I mean, like from what I remember as a kid, like I think I played Nemesis and something else. I don't know. I just remember Wrath, and I remember the planet of Mercadian Masks, which was like upside down mountains and stuff like that.
Mercadia, yeah.
Were those not part of Dominaria?
They are.
So to give you guys the quick history lesson, Wrath was not an artificial plane, but Wrath was a plane that Yawgmoth basically abused and used it to invade Dominaria. So basically, Urza had protected Dominaria from massive invasions by Phyrexians. They were able to break through in small places, but ultimately Urza would cut them off. So Yawgmoth's brilliant plan was he invaded this plane called Wrath, which is the Mercadia Nemesis story. And what he did was he devised a way to merge Wrath, the plane, with Dominaria, and that's the block called Invasion. So the invasion that's in the set Invasion is the start of the war, where Yawgmoth started to send Phyrexians through portals. And then the second set of that block is called Plane Shift, and that was when Wrath was overlaid with Dominaria. And in theory, Wrath no longer exists because it's part of Dominaria now. And then the Apocalypse was the destruction of Urza and Yawgmoth, the mutually assured destruction.
Sure.
So that is Wrath. And funny tidbit, people keep asking Mark Rosewater if we'll ever return to Rabia, which is the Arabian Nights inspired plane. And he said on Tumblr over the weekend that it would be more likely that they would unsplit Wrath from Dominaria and return to Wrath before they ever went back to Arabia. So, to give you an idea of how likely it is that we'll ever get another Arabian Nights story. Never. But anyways, I don't want to dwell on Dominaria for too long because there are 9 other planes that were revealed. So Liliana, born on Dominaria, her first planeswalk was, not surprisingly, to Innistrad. And I think this is going to be a very interesting story here because we know that Liliana is actually very old. So her story of traveling of being on Dominaria is going to take place at some point in Dominaria's past, possibly before we know before the time rifts were sealed. So it could be, it's not going to be as far back as Urza, but it will likely be during the Jessica story. So we'll get that, and then we'll get to see Innistrad from like 1,000 years ago, possibly before Griselbrand and Avacyn were sealed inside the Hell Vault. So we're going to get to see a slightly different kind of Innistrad. Gideon, we're going to get the story of Gideon's origin in Theros, and his first travel. I can't recall off the top of my head now. Do you guys remember what Gideon's first jump was?
No idea. I'm sure it's somewhere, but
it was in the links I sent out. But moving on real quick, Jace, of course, is a very exciting one. Jace comes from a plane called Vryn, which is like a ring, some kind of weird ring world. And oh no, I'm dying. I don't want to die. Ah, shit.
It's alright. Maybe Jace will save you when he planeswalks to Ravnica.
That's right. That is where Jace. Not surprisingly, he's when we first meet Jace in the stories, he's already on Ravnica. So Jace goes to Ravnica. Who else? Chandra. We'll get to Chandra last. Nissa starts on Zendikar, and she travels to Lorwyn, which is going to be very exciting for people who are a fan of Lorwyn. Lorwyn's one of those planes that tested very poorly. People were not hugely fond of Lorwyn when it came out. And that's mostly because the execution of the set was left a lot to be desired. But it does have a lot of very devoted fans who are going to be very excited to get new Lorwyn stories of any.
Gideon, by the way, planeswalked to Bant, of all places.
Bant! Oh my gosh. That is
a full plane.
Right, so that'll also be a story that took place before the Alaris story that we're familiar with. So it's going to be really cool to see some of these places again in kind of a time travel-y way. Do any of them excite you terribly much, guys? Dave?
I have very little connection to any of these.
Yeah.
So it'd be cool to play Innistrad.
Innistrad is always cool.
Yeah, Innistrad was such a flavorful place.
Yeah, I like Innistrad a lot. And it just, Dominaria, that was the big thing, is that Magic moved away from Dominaria. And this is the first time that we actually get to go back, and so that's cool.
Yeah, it's a thing that a lot of people are really excited for. So Chandra, I want to talk about briefly, and I wrote a lot about this topic. But so Chandra's from a plane that is a steampunk plane called Kaladesh. Yeah, that's the one.
That sounds like a Matt Jones.
Thanks, Matt.
Steampunk.
But it's called Kalapur, I think.
Kaladesh.
Kaladesh. Oh, and the city she comes from is Girapur. So it's a very Indian world, and it is the steampunk world that Matt Wizards has been hinting at for quite some time, and a lot of artwork was released for it. And it looks like a mix between India, Venice, and Russia, because the architecture is, interestingly, it is clearly Indian architecture, but the colors are very Russian. So it's got a lot of vibrant color in the buildings, which is fascinating to me. So that'll be interesting. Chandra's story came out, so they'll be releasing these, it seems, on a weekly basis now for Uncharted Realms, where we'll get one Planeswalker story a week. So the first one was Chandra. Did you guys get a chance to read the Chandra story? No.
I read part of it, but it's way too long and it was really poorly written, so I just gave up.
It is very long. It's the TLDR is that she's a rebellious child, shockingly.
No way.
And her parents are master inventors, but her parents are also rebellious, and they are fighting against the evil empire, essentially called the Consulate or something. And they're trying to sneak energy power sources to the underground movement. So Chandra is a courier of sorts for her parents. And she gets caught by some guards, and her pyromantic powers manifest. So her family goes into exile. They're hunted down. Her parents are executed in front of her. She's brought back to the capital to be publicly humiliated before being executed. And as the executioner is going to end her existence, she planeswalks away to Regatha. Regatha, yeah.
Does the story explain how this Irish family ended up in India?
Unfortunately, it does not. It does a very
They
poor
stowawayed
job.
on a boat from England.
Are we fighting Atheon?
No, it's a guy like Atheon.
I mean, it looks a lot like Atheon.
Sounds like Chandra sounds a lot like the classic Rydia from Final Fantasy.
Yeah, I mean, I could spend another half hour just complaining about this whole thing. But I wrote about it, so if you're interested in more about this, you can check out my column from Monday.
Yeah, go read about it.
Yeah, but the long story short is, I mean, Chandra is the name of the Hindi god of the moon. All the names are Indian. It's a very, I mean, to be fair, Wizards did a great job of building a world that is clearly inspired by Indian culture and should be very inclusive of Indian culture. And then they made the main characters all white. So I guess we'll see if they can worm their way out of that one. Doug Beyer put out a non-apology where he said, "Oh, well, just wait and see what the rest of the plane is like before you pass judgment." But I don't know. I'm pretty quick to pass judgment. So
That's what makes you a good writer.
It's part of the whole like anime world of all the characters are just made super white looking.
Right, exactly. You know what the funniest part of it is, like, even the guards, like the soldiers who go to execute her family and capture them and bring her back and kill her, even the guards, like even the soldiers were white. And I was talking to Sarah about it, and it's like, you know, it's really bad when even the enemies aren't, like even the villain wasn't ethnic.
So they didn't even do the Aladdin trick and make, as you get eviler and eviler, you get darker and have a stronger accent?
Right, no, nothing. Yeah, well, it was really...
The thing that's crazy to me is, like, you could think that, oh, well, they made Chandra, 8 years ago, and they didn't realize how much they wanted to open the game up to representing various cultures.
Right.
And so now they've come up with a way to sort of retrofit it, but they're stuck with this character. Except for Chandra Nalar is so obvious.
It's such an Indian, right?
Yeah, like they had this from the beginning. It isn't a matter of them trying to add it on. It's
right. It really seems like from day one they were like, okay, she's Indian. And then the first guy who drew her was like, pyromancer, got it. Redhead. Can't draw a redhead with dark skin.
I don't know, like Chandra Nalar could be, I guess, maybe a Welsh name.
No, there's not enough vowels for it to be Welsh. To be fair. Welsh it would also be obvious if it was a Welsh name.
Maybe they'll make her fight Dulcie.
Oh my god. Yoga Flame. That'd be so good.
That would be fantastic. Oh man. But yeah, so I mean, I'm hoping that the other 4 origin stories are a little more interesting. I believe that next week we're going to get the Liliana story. I know we're excited for that one. I know Curtis is excited for that one. Make sure on Friday you check out Planeswalker's Guide to Earth, Curtis's article. Check out last week's. He talked about pyromancy, which is really great. We are trying to kill this Atheon-looking dude. Is he even close to dead?
Nope.
Oh my god, I'm just close to dead. So anyways, let's get to our new weekly segment. I'm really excited about this. Our new weekly segment. It'll be almost weekly, maybe like half, like maybe 2/3 of the year. But the segment is called "Who Fucking Cheated at the Grand Prix This Weekend."
Wow.
Hold on, let me get the music I queued up.
Yeah.
No, continue.
But this is our new segment. So this weekend is Grand Prix Charlotte, and the format is modern, which is also known as the cheater's favorite format. It's a very popular format for cheating, apparently. But Brendan, why don't you give us a quick rundown of what went down at GP Charlotte?
So, one of the players who made the top 8, his name is Wesley C., was playing Blue-Red Splinter Twin. And interestingly, one of the reasons why you would play Blue-Red Splinter Twin over a lot of people play Grixis or Teamer Twin is that you have more versatility in your lands. So you can play cards like Desolate Lighthouse that let you search up things. And you can also play cards like Tectonic Edge and other colorless type lands that are hard to play in 3-color decks. And it turned out people noticed during the semifinals, or maybe it was the quarterfinals, in the top 8, they're watching him play, and he has Cavern of Souls in play. And people thought, that's weird. Did he really play Cavern of Souls in his deck? And it turns out, no. He played Tectonic Edge, but I assume that he intentionally was switching them out based on which one he thought was better, and which would be blatant cheating and would presumably cause him to be disqualified and not get to go to the Pro Tour that he just qualified for by top-8ing a 3,000-person GP. It's possible that he just got confused about the difference between Tectonic Edge and Cavern of Souls.
Oh yeah, I mean,
it seems very hard to believe.
There's such similar cards,
and so they discovered this. I guess, he was on the quarterfinals. They showed him a little bit. People on the Twitch chat were like, whoa, there's no way that he made that Cavern of Souls. And then they checked his deck and did this before the finals because he made the finals. And so he got a game loss to start the finals because they checked his deck and he had a card that wasn't registered. And so he was playing against elves in the finals and lost the second game after automatically losing the first game. So the finals of Grand Prix Charlotte was 1 game long.
Good Lord.
Which is a huge embarrassment. It's especially because 9th place was Patrick Chapin playing a Grixis control deck that everyone wanted to see. 10th place was Paul Rietzel playing like a Naya Zoo collected company deck that everyone wanted to see. And neither of them made it in because of tiebreakers, because this was like a 3,000-person GP. And instead, we got to watch the finals marred by someone who lost a game for cheating. Now, it's possible that he didn't actually intentionally cheat, but I find that really hard to believe. But we'll wait and see.
Was the Cavern on his sideboard and he was just pre-boarding, or was it just like nowhere in his 75?
I believe it was not anywhere in his 75.
Wow.
He was supposed to have a Tech Edge, and I don't know. Like, my guess is that he probably would switch them back and forth because there's, if you get paired against Tron, if you know your opponent's playing a deck where Tech Edge is useful, then you would want the Tech Edge. But if you know you're playing a mirror match, against another Twin deck or some other blue deck, then Cavern of Souls is great. And I remember I noticed seeing that. Like, I wasn't fully watching all of the top 8, but I was doing other things and had it on and looking over at some point because this guy Wesley C played Sam Pardee in the quarterfinals, and they both were playing Blue-Red Twin, and that having that land was actually relevant that he had out a Cavern of Souls. And I remember seeing that and thinking, oh, that's really interesting. Cavern of Souls is a smart card to play if you're expecting a lot of twin mirrors. And
good Lord.
Little did we know. Man. Yeah, that's pretty disappointing.
That's I mean, honestly, I hope, like you said, that he gets the DQ, and that they don't give this guy a trip to the Pro Tour. because that's just unreal.
Yeah, I mean, it's great to have 2 consecutive modern GPs have cheaters make the finals and then lose in the finals. I guess if there's any justice in this world, at least they lost. But
Yeah.
It
But
just
2 in a
seems
row.
it's so hard to believe that he's in day 2. You submit your deck list on day 1, and I suppose it's remotely possible that you could just write down the wrong land and forget, but that is
Well,
really hard to do.
you
And
can
it seems like you would.
email in your deck lists. So like it's entirely possible that he could copy and paste a list.
Yeah,
Thinking
but I
that
mean,
it was
like,
his list, but it wasn't. But
Yeah, it's possible.
but
did
seems
they
like
like?
you
I
would
mean, I'm
realize it.
assuming not, but like, did they search him and like find some tectonic edges in his back pocket or something? Like,
were there any blues in his lap?
right? Oh my God. It's it's starting to get more and more embarrassing, especially like you said, Dave. Like it's now consecutive modern Grand Prix. Um,
Yeah.
and
And I just don't believe someone who plays well enough to make the top 8 of this GP in a very difficult field. I find it very hard to believe that it could be like, oh, it's I just didn't realize that I sent in the wrong deck list.
right.
Yeah.
Like
I mean,
they
that
didn't check.
happens, but
They didn't check their list before day 2.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
it's really it's tough because like obviously we can't deck check everyone in a 3,000 player tournament,
You
but
can in the top 8 though.
you can
Well,
in
and
the
that's
top.
that's the crazy
You're
thing
right.
to me is that my experience. I haven't made the top 8 at a GP, but when I've made top 8s of constructed events, the judges have always deck checked everyone before the top 8 started.
Yeah.
Like like PTQ, like the old PTQs and whatnot.
Yep.
Yeah, no, those were always so. Well,
And
it's
so-
embarrassing, and hopefully Wizards does something about it.
Yeah. Well, and if they did check his deck and he had the right deck with the tech edges, and then he switched them out, then that's
Even worse.
very strong evidence of cheating. But we'll see.
I feel like if they know he had the tech edges, so if they investigate, which I'm assuming they will, and they know he had the tech edges and was pre-boarding with cards that weren't even in his 75, then I can't imagine he gets anything less than a 6-month ban, along with forfeiture of everything he won at Grand Prix Charlotte. So hopefully Wizards doles out justice. That's it for our new segment, Who Cheated at the Grand Prix this week.
Yeah, tune in next week for Who Cheated at Providence playing
Yep.
Standard, or
That's right.
even more likely, Who Cheated in Copenhagen playing Modern. We'll look
Yes.
forward to our 3rd Modern GP with a top 8 and finals featuring somebody cheating.
Oh man.
Also, Europeans cheat more. That's just a fact.
Ooh.
Hold on, didn't Ben Stark say something about the Portuguese?
I don't
Oh
know.
my
Is Portugal
God.
in Europe? I just meant people
Yeah.
in Copenhagen.
Oh my God. I feel like that's the right moment to figure out how to. Man, is there a way I can use Cavern of Souls to turn off the stream?
No, no.
Cavern of Souls naming Twitch.
Hey Guardians, thanks for tuning in to the Doomed Travelers podcast. You can find more at doomedtravelers.com or follow at Doomed Travelers on Twitter for show updates and other nonsense. Make sure to subscribe to Hipsters TV on YouTube for videos of our previous episodes, and don't forget that you can find audio-only versions of the Doomed Travelers podcast on iTunes. For your host, Rich Stein, and Matt the Obliterator Jones, I'm David Bones McCoy. See you next time.
Nothing past William Howard Tuck.